You know, they bring us up here alphabetically. That's why I'm first. I tell you what, Mom, I wish Dad would have spelled our name with a Z. I got to tell you one other thing. See, this is a very emotional thing. And these guys behind me, the other 6 inductees, have been giving me pressure all week about setting the pace. So me not being a very emotional guy, I'm going to try to keep it straight and not break down. And I thought I could do it until I spent the week with Nitschke. Ray's a competitor, and he's been working on us psychologically. You know how middle linebackers are. So I'm going to try to stick with it. I have to tell you, I've never been faced with a more monumental task, worked harder at preparation, and felt more ill-prepared. This moment absolutely has to go to thanks to the people that had to do with me getting here. I kind of broke those down into categories, and the people I'd like to name, and really only have time to name most of them, are some of the coaches and the personal friends that have been involved with me through my life and my career in football. I thought I'd start with the coaches, going back to high school. The first one I encountered was Sam Estock at 100 pounds in junior high school. He was a high school coach and noticed that I looked like I might be able to play and suggested that I go out. I went out and was coached by a fellow named Jim Tyree, who was a wrestling coach and taught me about the meaning of conditioning. Some of the other coaches were Walker, Fortner, Blake, Eberly, Sloop, and Saldus, and finally Coach Vogt. It had a lot to do with me going to Syracuse, and I want to thank him for that. Coach Fortner came to us in my sophomore year and moved me to fullback in my junior year. And he helped me make a very large decision early in my career. We all fell out for the grass drill the first day of practice, an August day much like this, and he was hollering the downs and ups. And we happened to be up at the time when a red convertible went by the practice field, honked its horn. It was a friend of mine. He had 2 long-haired blondes in it and waved very broadly. And at that, Coach Fortner looked at it and said, "Fellas, there it is. You can either be here doing this or there doing that. Now hit the dirt." And everybody did except me. I had to think about it for a moment. And Fortner, like Shula, didn't hesitate, didn't lose the momentum of the moment. He said, "Down, Csonka," and naturally I went down and stayed with it ever after. Monty Clark, Coach Schnellenberger, Arnsbarger, Keene, Tassif, McVeigh, Sandusky, and finally Coach Shula. The impact that Coach Shula and the Dolphins had on my life, I think I can reflect to you. On my life and my family, I can reflect to you in a couple of stories. I have 2 sons that are out before me now. The older boy is Doug. The older young man is Doug. At the ripe old age of 4, when the Dolphins were first coming on, I had him down in the living room tickling him. He demanded that I stop, and I inquired what he planned to do if I didn't, and he stood up before me, held up his little 4-year-old finger, and said, "I'll tell John Shula if you don't." A couple of years later, my younger son Paul, while standing in front of the TV with a Labrador puppy and wrestling around, stood up to listen to the Star-Spangled Banner of the beginning of a Philadelphia Eagles and a San Francisco 49ers game, listened to the entire thing and turned around and looked at me with a puzzled look and said, "Daddy, why are they playing the Dolphins song for them?" This time I'd like to thank the Dolphin owner, Joe Robbie, for having a franchise and giving me an opportunity. The Giants owner, Wellington Mara, for the same thing. 2 other men that had a great deal to do with my short and lively career. Bob Lundy, our trainer, who put me back together many, many times, and equipment man Dan Dow for designing all kinds of new and light equipment for a fat old fullback. And last but not least, a special group of friends and family. My family, and here's where it gets tough. To all of you, thank you. It's been a long and costly road, but we're here. I love you, Mom. Just please don't call me Gooch in front of these people, all right? To my friends and fellow players, Jim and Mary Kick, who are in the audience, I love you both very much. And finally, Earl Morrill, for being about the most inspirational guy I've ever been around. He's a great man, a great quarterback, and he liked me to run the ball. And he couldn't ask for much more than that. Finally, a thanks to my hometown, Stowe, Ohio. Just a few short miles away, my junior year in high school, when the announcement was made that the Hall of Fame was going to be here and linked with the National Football League the way it's been, was a great thing. We Ohioans had great pride in the fact that it was here. This part of the country, this Midwest area of the country, is where great football is produced. And the young men that play the game come from here that make it great, in my opinion. We've always had a lot of pride about that, so it's particularly pleasant for me to come back after feeling that pride and finally make it. Last but not least, you may win yet, Nitschke. I want to thank a little brown-haired girl. Name? Thank you, Pam. I love you. Thank you very much.